I think the last presenter, the flower among thorns, and I think the youngest among us here, among the presenters, I would like to call upon our Madam Nur Anneliza Binti Abd, who is currently the language teacher at the Preparatory Center for Science and Technology, PPST UMS. Madam Nur Anneliza will be sharing her experience on thriving for authenticity in implementing MOET online. Please welcome Madam Nur Anneliza. Madam, please.
All right. Assalamualaikum, and is it still morning or afternoon? And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam SALMIE, and also to everyone else here. Now, my name is Anne. I am from Preparatory Center for Science and Technology, also known PPST in UMS. We cater for the pre-university level. And I will be sharing a little bit about my presentation today entitled Thriving for Authenticity in Implementing Malaysian University English Test MOET Online. So without any delay, my presentation will be divided into 3 parts today. I don't think it is too technical in terms of, the online implementation, but it's more like a honest sharing experience to everyone here. So the first part is reducing the gap between traditional tests and online activities. This one is in terms of MOET assessment. And secondly, we consolidate online interactive activities and latest resources that is in line with MOET specification, and hoping at the end of the day that these activities will bridge and fill in the gaps that I mentioned previously. And last but not least, I will be sharing a little bit, a short one about our MOET Accelerate workshop that we have done it online. Okay. So there are 4 skills involved in MOET, and it is tested separately. So listening is different, speaking is in different paper. All of these are tested separately. As much as we want to break away from the secondary level school style, but we have to admit that in pre-university level, English courses is pretty much going exam oriented. We work side by side with the test specification, and at the same time, we also set goal for a certain band. I think a lot of language instructors knows about this. So to break away from this, we want to give them the right knowledge and skills, and at the same time, we want them to experience the real life language experience as well. Okay, so it is easier to do this in traditional classroom. Language is easier to do in a traditional classroom. So when things shifted last year, I had my first experience conducting everything online, and I think everybody else experienced that as well. So with the goal in mind, my students has to physically sit for the exam. Okay, so I have to reduce the gap between the traditional test and also the online practices, so that they will not be too out of touch with the real world, because they have to sit for the exam. Okay, the exam will not be online. Okay, so I'll be sharing some things today. The first one is the MOET assessment. So for listening tests, in class, they have to be independent in navigating the audio. So what happened is they will scan the QR code, and then they will listen to the audio, and then they have to answer the questions. Then they will come to me for the answers, for the discussion, and also for the MOET requirement, the English requirement of it. Okay? But what happened is, in real life, it does not happen that way. Students do not have the authority to navigate the audio. So there are certain things that you want to avoid, like them rewinding the audio too much. That is not practical. So in listening tests, it is best if you don't have too much time in terms of contingency time, because we usually put contingency time for the test, right? 15 minutes extra, 20 minutes extra, but that is not really ideal when it comes to listening tests, because you don't want them to rewind the audio so many times. Okay, so in terms of platform, I think, in my opinion, so far, Smart B3 is the most ideal one when it comes to listening tests. We've tried with other platforms as well, but Smart B3, it has two important keys, which is one, it caters to different kind of audio. So you can have the old audio one like MP3, and you can also have MP4, you can upload that. And then the second one is you have the time duration calculator, because we want to limit the time, right? We are very strict on the time. So I think if you start with Smart V3, it is good enough. It is perfect already. We've tried like Google Form, but Google Form is too open. It does not have the time limitation. So you have to download the third party application for you to set the time duration calculator. And Google Form is also very picky in terms of the audio type. I think I have to convert some of my audios to cater to that feature. Okay. Now, the biggest challenge is definitely speaking test. You see, when it comes to MUAT exam test, it is very technical. The weighting of your non-communicative ability is the same weighting with your language proficiency. So you speak fluent grammar, yes. You speak good language proficiency, but at the same time, the examiner also want to see your non-communicative ability, your body language, your eye contact, your display of interest towards other people as well. So that is very challenging to tackle online, because your students don't want to on the camera. You are speaking alone basically in the room, in the online room, in the Google meeting room. And I think I'm not the only one who experienced that. So I would suggest you to use the breakout rooms. So back in the days, I think was it in early June? In early June, we were experimenting with Google Meeting, but it was a disaster. I think there are two platforms that you can use. First one is Teams, and the second one is WebEx. WebEx just recently announced the newly feature of breakout rooms. The thing with breakout rooms is, okay, imagine if you give speaking questions to the students, and then this group will be doing the talking and others will be listening. In that case, your input will be lower than the output, because only 4 students are speaking and the rest will be listening. When you are doing it in breakout rooms, the output of your synchronized session is way higher, and you can capitalize that. I hope I'm making sense here. So yes, I'll show you some of the video. This is like a silent video. So this is what I mentioned with the high output during synchronized session. This is synchronized session. So I have like different rooms, can train, and they're on the audio, they're on the camera. Okay, so yeah, you have like this eagle eye kind of view. So instead of having too high in terms of input in the lecture session, why don't you use breakout rooms and increase the output? So this is very ideal in speaking tests. Okay, but of course, if you have to access, then you have to go group by group. Okay, reading tests, I think reading tests in terms of class practice and online, it apply the same rules and style. So we don't have much problem with that. It's just that when it comes to MUAT passage, the length of the passage can be very, very long. So it can go up to 2 pages. So imagine putting that text in Smart B3. So students have to scroll again and again back to the questions, and then go back to the passage, go to the questions again. So I think, in my opinion, it will be ideal if students could annotate while they are doing the test. Okay, so we have yet find that kind of platform, but hopefully we can do that sometime in the future with the right platform. So far, we are doing Smart B3, and Smart B3 works perfectly fine for that. It's just that it's better if students can annotate while they are answering the questions. They can highlight, they can find a certain paragraph, they can also summarize certain things. so that it'll be easier for them to navigate between the questions and the lengthy text. Okay, writing test, I think this one is the easiest. You can apply the same rules in class and also style. Whether you want your student to submit the PDF or you want them to submit the Microsoft Word, you can use Google Drive, you can use Smart V3, or if you want them to be, having like authenticity, really authentically writing, then you ask them to hand in the handwritten works. So that one is fine, works either way. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you some of our activities. Oops. So this is one of our student activities. This is actually PBL Speaking. So what happened is we gave them a problem, a very real life situation problem. And then within a week, they do research and discuss with the group members about the solution to the issue. They can use various resources to do research. For example, interview, websites, TED Talk, and also books or any website. This time around, I emphasize them to do interview because I want them to talk to other people beside their friends and also me. So they have to do interview. They have to interview the other people, and then after that they come back and they can do like pitching session for 2 minutes where they present their arguments and also followed by a question and answer session. So if you can see that the follow up is very muet, although the beginning is PBL, but towards the end it is very muet. Going towards muet. These are some of their works. So they interview like their previous teacher. They also interview their parents, so that in finding their own solution, and also they do research as well. So for example, one of my students here, Chris Merelda, interview her previous teacher, secondary school teacher. And they also get some resources from website. And another one here, Milka, interview also her previous teacher. Hannah here interview her peer in KML, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, from Labuan Matriculation College. So they have that kind of, real life experience of language, talking to other people, not only listening to us or doing what speaking practice. And then this one is Dotstorming. If you are familiar with the Padlet, you can opt for this because Padlet is limited currently and you have to pay for it. This works just fine like Padlet. In fact, you can customize it better than Padlet. However, when it comes to Dotstorming, this one is called Dotstorming. You don't have to log in. Your students don't have to log in. They can just click and write something on it. So we use this to get reflection, of our courses. It's just that I think Padlet, even though they have the same interface and they have the same feature, but Padlet is easier like to navigate around because for our students, we have like 400 students and maybe coming is 600 enrollment. So sometimes with Dotstorming, it can be like stuck or like lagging here and there because of the overwhelming responses. So, but again, this is very convenient, just like Padlet. Okay, so and looking at this reflection, I think that it is very important for us to have a two-way communication with our students. We need to know what works for them as well as what works for us. Okay, so I'm quite convinced that the new semester will start off remotely as well because the number of COVID cases is still rising, so you probably have it online as well, or maybe a mix. I'm not sure, but this time around we will definitely start the batch with better platform, precise platform, if I can say it, and then better steering. setting up the benchmark and of course having mutual understanding between you and the students, and all of that thanks to the current batch that we have, because we did a lot of experiment with them when it comes to online. So I think our startup kit for this upcoming batch definitely Teams and Smart V3, and of course WebEx as well. They work just perfectly, and of course other things will come in as well, as a supplementary. Okay. Last but not least, this is our MOET Accelerate workshop. We have been doing this for the past 6 years, or was it 7? Yes, this is our 7th year. So we don't want to miss it out. But then again, it could be challenging implementing this in the middle of pandemic. So we decided to do it online. And then we have the highest participants from outside. Participant from outside means like teachers, school leavers, students from matriculation as well. So it was a total of 12 hours engagement with 437 attendees. So if you want to go for a workshop, definitely WebEx is the perfect platform because it can cater to 1,000 attendees, and the interface is very easy as well. Okay. And then of course this is one of the session, the MOET online workshop day. This is the speaking session, day 1. This is our students, and yes, I think that it is our aim to establish the balance, finding balance between making it effective online and reflecting real life practice as well, because you don't want to be out of touch with real world. So trial and error is important in finding the best platform. Although you really like one platform, but maybe if you try out another, it's actually easier. And listen to suggestion from students as well, because sometimes they know what's best. Okay, and then two-way communication between students and instructors to establish transparency and avoiding to seems like overly demanding, because in our case, we need to see the non-communicative abilities, so they have to like sit a little bit far away from the laptop so we can see the overall expression and body language. So I think that by having like mutual understanding, you can achieve what you want at the end of the day with the online task. Yep, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Anne. Indeed, a rose among thorns. So pleasant to hear your presentations. And yes, I agree with you, Madam, that online lecture via Google Meet or Webex is a lonely 1-hour event, especially when there's no interactions, no response from our students with the camera off. It's like we are talking with the dinding. So, ladies and gentlemen, finally we came to the end of the presentations. We would like to say thank you again for all the presenters for the informative and interesting talk, and to the audience for your participations. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for everybody.